Welcome back. I'm glad you are here to do another devotion with me as we just continue reading through Mark. We're actually going to finish Mark chapter 2 today. So in our first week of Devos, we're finishing not just chapter 1 of Mark, but we're getting through chapter 2. So that's great. That's awesome. Way to stick in there and get it done, and really just to seek after God in this time. You guys, you're doing great. I want you to keep doing it. Keep it up. And I love the comments you guys are making. I love the conversations I'm having with you guys about these passages. Keep doing that. That excites me to see you guys digging into the Word, having questions, and seeking out answers. That's really cool. So keep doing that, especially with today's passage. This is actually, I know usually I tell you I read it right the first time, is what you see. This is actually my second time I'm going to read this. And I think you're going to see why as soon as we start reading. So let's kind of go straight into it. We just finished seeing where Jesus healed a paralytic man, and then he also called Levi to him. So here we go. It's going to be Mark chapter 2, verses 18 through the rest of the chapter. And let's dig in. So here we go. Starting in verse 18. Now John's disciples and the Pharisees were fasting, and people came and said to him, "Why do John's disciples and the disciples of the Pharisees fast, but your disciples do not fast?" And Jesus said to them, "Can the wedding guests fast while the bridegroom is with them? As long as they have the bridegroom with them, they cannot fast. The days will come when the bridegroom is taken away from them, and they will fast in that day. No one sews a piece of unshrunk cloth on an old garment. If he does, the patch tears away from it, the new from the old, and a worse tear is made. And no one puts new wine into old wineskins. If he does, the wine will burst the skins, and the wine is destroyed, and so are the skins. But new wine is for fresh wineskins." One Sabbath he was going through the grain fields, and as they made their way, his disciples began to pluck heads of grain, and the Pharisees were saying to him, "Look, why are they doing what is not lawful on the Sabbath?" And he said to them, "Have you never read what David did when he was in need and was hungry? He and those who were with him, how he entered the house of God in the time of Abiathar the high priest and ate the bread of the presence, which it is not lawful for any but the priest to eat, and also gave it to those who were with him? And he said to them, the Sabbath was made for man, not man for the Sabbath. So the Son of Man is the Lord, even of the Sabbath." Yeah, so that makes no sense. I read that and I'm kind of confused the first time I read through it. Even the second time I read through it, and you might be thinking, what in the world is that passage talking about? You just went through two portions of scripture with me, and you're probably thinking, I have no idea what Mark is writing down, what Jesus is talking about in these passages. And first of all, I want you to know that that's okay. A lot of times, or maybe not a lot of times, maybe sometimes when you're reading the Bible, you're going to come across some scriptures that are a little bit harder to understand, and you might not, understand it right away. And that's just what happens sometimes. But I encourage you right now to really seek after God. Because even myself, I may read a scripture like this, and if it's the first, I've read this before, so I know kind of what it's talking about. But I still got to do some more studying into it before I were to teach on it or something like that. But for this instance, for you guys, if it's the first time ever reading this, you probably have no idea what this passage is talking about. And so here's how I want you to try approaching this passage today. And it's going to be kind of a process. It's going to go on for a little bit. But here's what I want you to do. The first thing is I want you just to stop, and I want you to pray. And I want you to ask God to speak clearly to you so you can understand what he's trying to teach you in this passage. Just stop, pray to God, ask for some help. The next thing I want you to do, step number 2, is I want you to read this passage 2 more times. So you've listened to me read it once to you. I want you now to go back and go slow, take your time, read this passage 2 more times. After you've done that, God may reveal to you what he's talking about. He may not. You still may not understand what he's talking about. And if you still don't understand, that's okay. Probably the majority of us still are not going to know what this passage is talking about. So the last thing that I want you to do is I just want you to think about this passage throughout the day. I want you to reach out to somebody and see what they think about this passage. Maybe invite your parents to read along. See what your parents think about this. If you guys want, you can give me a call. You can give me a text. You can comment below. I'll share with you what I think about this passage and what it makes me think about and what I think Jesus is trying to say to us and what Mark is writing down. So there's 3 steps. With difficult passages like this, where it's not like a clear-cut thing to us, maybe where we understand what he's talking about. I want you to first pray about it. Pray to God, asking him to give you understanding. Second, I want you to read it a total of 3 times, so 2 more times after watching this video. And lastly, I want you just to spend the day seeking out what it means. And like I said, that can be asking your parents to read along with it. That can be asking your small group leader or your youth leader. You can ask a pastor. You guys can come ask me. You can text me. You can call me. You can comment. I want to have these conversations with you. I don't want to just give you the answer, because sometimes devos are about digging in and seeing what God has to say. He wants you to seek him out. Not just partially, not just a little bit. He wants your whole heart when you seek after him. So right now, I just encourage you to seek after him with your whole heart. I know this one might be a little bit harder, but I also know that you can do this. So I'm excited to see what you guys have to say. I'm excited to see what you have to learn. Please comment below and let me just talk back and forth with you guys to see what you think. So I'm praying for you guys. It's going to be an awesome Devo, and we will see you next time.